Hey guys, Tony Vasquez here once again with another episode of Let's Talk About It. This episode is going to be very special and very delicate. We feel it's important for us to speak on, and it will be on racism. I have a special panel with me today, Ramon, Joas, and Pastor Anthony, of course. How you doing, guys?
Doing okay.
So we're just going to dive right into it, and I just want to start with you, Ramon. What is racism?
Yeah, so racism is a very broad topic, right? And there's a lot of buckets that fall into racism and social injustice. But racism itself is a system in place that degrades a certain group of people based on their skin color. So that's what racism is. And to evoke and perpetuate racism, you have to be in a form of power to do it. So in the simplest, most general form, that's what racism is. We could be here all day to like dive into where the buckets are, but that's what it is.
Yeah. Joas, does the Bible speak on oppression?
It definitely does. It's a huge topic within the Bible. We see it all throughout Scripture that God is against the oppressor, against a group of people oppressing another. And not just against the oppressor, but for the one that's being oppressed. We see it in, I have some scriptures here.
Okay.
We see it in Zechariah chapter 7, verse 9, where through the prophet Zechariah, God is talking to the people, and he says this: "This is what the Lord of heavens of armies says. Judge fairly and show mercy and kindness to one another. Do not oppress widows, orphans, foreigners, and the poor, and do not scheme against each other."
Great.
So we see that it's a big topic in the Bible. And just when we think about Christ, when we think about how he came for us, we who are under the oppressive reign of sin, God came and died for us. So oppression is all over the Bible.
Yeah.
It's a major theme in the Bible. So yeah, it's important to talk about.
Yeah. Pastor Anthony, what do you believe it has taken this long for the church to speak out on racism?
We as Spirit of Brotherhood Church, we have never spoken about it broadly, like a message, but it has been in our actions. For example, we have invited a lot of black pastors to speak to our church. To our leadership team. I have black friends that have inspired me in such ways throughout my life. And so the church hasn't spoken about it. They haven't taken the time to acknowledge this point. I can't speak on behalf of any other church, but I believe that in this time that we're living is so important that we engage in the moment of this racial issue that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
We cannot stay silent. We have to go and fight and voice our opinion, and be there for those who are oppressed, those who are unjustly criticized or marginalized, pushed aside, and have a voice for them, just like Jesus did for so many.
Yeah.
Throughout Scripture, if you read the Scriptures, Jesus went for those who were the weaker. And if they humbled themselves and they said, "I need help," Jesus never denied them of help.
Yeah.
He got to their level and helped. So that's, I believe, is how the church should approach this whole situation. There's a real issue that we're faced right now and is not right. And the church has to address it with their churches, their leadership. And if you haven't been intentional about it, this is the moment.
Amen. And you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be a scholar in the issue. You just have to bring whatever light you know, whatever knowledge you have of it, just bring it out. Let the community around you know what you know so that they can be educated in the matter. Amen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning as we go.
Yeah.
I'm having conversations. I'm listening. I don't think that we all have a grasp exactly of what is happening or how far it goes, how deep it is. But we are listening, we're educating ourselves, and if you don't know the topic, it doesn't mean that you're not sensitive about it. We have to be sensitive about it. What is the situation? What are you concerned about?
Yeah.
And how can we help?
Yeah.
We may not understand it fully, but at least we're speaking about it, and we're noticing and know that it's not right.
Yeah. Question for all three of you guys. Have you ever been profiled or discriminated against?
Yeah.
We could start with Joas.
There's so many times. I mean, not so many things with officers. You know, I've been a good kid, but within my own family, within friends in high school, definitely profiled because of my skin color. Teased at, you know, being picked at like by other people that the moment they see my skin color or my, you know, hair color or the way the texture of my hair, they'll pick at it and they'll tease or bully at me because of that.
Yeah.
So I definitely experienced it as, you know, a kid growing up. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I've experienced a few situations where I've been profiled, probably like a few occasions with police, and I mean in my everyday life, you know, going to school at a predominantly white school, I've definitely experienced little microaggressions.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I definitely have.
I think where it has happened to me the most has been in going to a store to buy clothes or sneakers. Off the bat, they already, especially the more expensive the sneaker, the more they're gonna profile you. Especially when I was trying to get, the first time I went for my wife's ring, and I was going shopping jewelry stores.
Wow.
I could tell right away, all eyes on me, and I'm the only one that they're looking because I have color, and everybody else, they're not even paying attention, and the person over there has a way more expensive than the thing that I'm looking at because it's actually behind the glass. I can't even reach to it, and they're already looking at me in a different way. So, yeah, that was my experience on discrimination. I think a lot of people go through that, especially when you go to a store and you're trying to buy clothes. I think that's where most people experience it, and which is a problem. I shouldn't feel already I'm walking in and based on the skin of my color, the color of my skin, you're looking at me differently, and you're receiving me in a different way. And I think in churches we should be also very careful on that. How you receive people, how you welcome people matters a lot.
For sure.
You don't have to say anything, just your reaction when the person walks in
100%.
says everything.
Yeah.
So we, as a church, I think we every day got to strive to improve on our interaction with people and how we receive people, because this should be a safe haven for everyone.
Definitely.
Amen?
Right.
Ramon, are you afraid or scared with the state of the country?
I'm not afraid of what's happening in the country. I think that what's happening in the country is when sin goes unaddressed, I feel like this is what we get.
Yeah.
Great. Come on, man.
We see chaos, and we see people speaking out against it. Racism is a sin that's not addressed. It's not addressed, you know. It's not talked about a lot. It's not even, some people don't even see it as a sin.
Come on.
You know? So I think...
Say that again?
Some people don't see racism as a sin.
Wow.
But it is a sin. It's legit a sin. So I think I'm not scared. I think in my mind it's just like, we're living in a sinful world. Like, what do we expect?
Yeah.
You know, like this is like, I mean, 2020 has just been a crazy year altogether. But I see this year as the year that like we're just seeing the culmination of sin, and this year's the result of it.
Yeah.
You know. In terms of what's happening in this country with racism, it's not the first time. You know, it's happened when Rodney King was killed. There was riots in LA. Prior to that, you know, we saw it when Black Lives Matter first came up in like 2015.
Yeah.
So this is not new. So it doesn't scare me. I think it's just exhausting it's exhausting to keep addressing the same issue that hasn't been resolved.
Yeah.
More than anything.
I mean, for me, I feel like instead of fear, almost a sense of hope that it's being so looked at now.
Yeah.
You know, it's now no longer safe to ignore it. Like, even if you're ignoring it, you're being criticized. So I feel like instead of this sense of fear, I have almost a sense of hope.
Yeah.
Like, Lord, like we were speaking earlier, behind the scenes, there's this sense of hope that this is the time to talk about it. This is the time where we are going to do a fatal blow to this sin, that we're going to deal with it. Yeah. So that's how I'm feeling now.
Yeah, and before there's victory, there's pressure.
Amen.
Right? So I think what we're seeing right now is just the pressure before the victory.
Yeah.
Amen.
You know?
Yeah, so what we were saying about the behind-the-scenes topic was, I feel like this happened exactly towards the end of the pandemic. We're quarantined. We're forced to stay at home due to the obvious reasons. And then this comes up, this situation where a black man was treated unjustly. He lost his life. And so that whole scene stirred up the issue at hand. And so we were excited to open up the churches right after the pandemic is over. Let's do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But in the spiritual realm, I believe God allowed it was to bring up a true issue with race and that he needed for us to pay attention to as the church. Meaning, heaven is gonna look like, it's gonna be so diverse. It's gonna look with every shape, color, skin, and all expressions. And God wanted for us to understand, they are all my children.
Amen.
If you have a different mindset than I do, then we're gonna have to fix this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so God allowed the pandemic so that we can go into our prayer closet in our time of secret, pray for our families, unite, get together once again. But now we are about to be released into the real world once again as the church. How are we going to approach this? And every life matters. So we're now bigger and better than ever as a church. Now we're not selected to a specific group of people, but to all people. And I think we were missing the mark with our black family.
I think this is going to change the approach in even our preaching.
Absolutely.
This is going to make our preaching be more intentional when it comes to certain things. That's why right now we're focusing on Black Lives Matter, because that's something that we have not paid attention to, and all we kept saying was all life matters. But I love what a certain speaker said, a pastor that said, until Black Lives Matter, then no life matters. You still we gotta focus on that. The problem right now is Black lives needs to matter. We need to make sure that we bring that out, and I think that's gonna help.
Yeah, and I think
us
the
as
sentiment,
speakers.
I think the heart of saying all lives matter is like, yeah, sure, all lives matter, right?
Right.
But like the analogy is like, you don't go to the breast cancer walk and say there's other cancers.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? We're here for breast cancer.
This issue, right?
Yeah, like we're here for this specific issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, it's not like there's a house on fire and you see a firefighter putting down the fire. It's like, well, there's other houses. It's like, yeah, but it's not on fire. This one is.
This
you
one is
know what I'm
right
saying?
now.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
There's this character going around I actually posted it yesterday, where there's a group of sheep with bands going up, like with banners going up saying all sheep matter. Then you see the shepherd walking away to save this one sheep.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
And I think that speaks so much about what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
There's a group of sheep that need us to go back to them, that we need to, as a church, respond to their hurt, their pain. Whether we're for now ignoring other pains, this pain needs to be responded by the church. And that's our job. You're as a pastor, you're a shepherd.
For sure.
And us leaders, we're meant to, I believe, deal with this in the time where it hurts. Like I understand a lot of us, some people might feel like, oh, but this has been going around now, it's being sensationalized. It's being like vulnerable right now in the people's hearts. It's a open wound. So that's when we have to attack this, and I think a lot of people are being quiet because they don't want to speak on it because it's being sensationalized.
Right.
I'm like, no, this is the time to speak on it because it's an open wound that needs to be answered.
I respect also people who are quiet because they don't know. They're not educated on the topic. They may just know about Martin Luther King, for example, but they don't know the full scope of it. And until they're not educated enough, they're not speaking about it. So I think these conversations are important.
Meaning being quiet for now.
For now, right, until they're educated. So I don't want to speak out of just out of what I think without knowing exactly. So this is why this conversation for us is important, is difficult, and we're doing it with faith that something good may come out of this.
Yeah.
And so this is why we're here. Yeah. Not that we're educated fully, but we are hurting with those who hurt.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're here, and I think is a proper time.
Yeah. Joas, how can I remain Christ-like by being filled with love in a time where the hurt is leading me to hate and let my heart be consumed with hate?
Well, the Bible tells us, be angry, but do not sin. It's okay to be angry at what's going on. Yeah. You know, we have to have that sense of understanding that it's a sin, like Ramon was saying, and be angry at the sin, but not at the sinner. You know, that it's a problem of the heart. You know, this racism is a heart issue. It has to be something that has to be addressed in the heart of man.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing as a Christian is that we have the answer.
Yeah.
I believe that the reason this hasn't been resolved is because the church hasn't stepped up to be the answer yet.
Come on.
And we have the answer both in resolving the unity between these groups that are being separated by sin. In Christ Jesus, we are all brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have been bought by the blood of the Lamb. All sin is forgiven.
Amen.
And the Bible tells us that He is the one that makes that's in charge of bringing justice. He is the one that avenges all wrongdoing. So as a Christian, I believe that there's hope in that. That whatever sin is being overlooked, especially this sin of racism, whether I see it or not, God sees it.
Yeah.
He's the one that's going to be able to deal with that. And He has dealt with it at the cross, pouring out the wrath, His wrath on Christ. And I believe that at the cross, Jesus did look at the sin of racism. He did deal with it in His flesh.
Yeah.
And I think that brings hope for us.
Yeah.
And it allows us to be strong voices as Christians. That we are people that can point to this circumstance, this sin, and say, yes, we have a solution for it. Not just something that policies can fix.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all the policies in the world can be made, but individuals can only be dealt by Christ. People have to understand that it is a sin. And the solution to sin isn't just conversations, isn't just policy making, it's Jesus.
Yeah, amen.
Right? So that's the hope that brings peace to me in this situation as a Christ follower. I can have that sense of anger and pain at what's going on, but I have a comfort in my Savior.
Yeah.
You know, and He is the solution to it.
Yeah.
So that I believe is what we have as Christ followers.
I think anytime I have ever felt like I'm about to either hate in any way, shape, or form, I self-analyze myself. Okay, I'm about to enter a place emotionally that I shouldn't go as a Christian because God is all about love.
Right.
So I should not allow myself to be drawn into that emotion right now that's trying to pull me so hard. And I have every reason to, but so did Jesus. I always got to think about the cross.
Wow.
So did Jesus have that same mentality. He could have easily said, you know what? You spitting on me, you're slapping me, I'm trying to save you right now.
Yeah.
And you're doing all this thing. You're literally having me naked right now in public, shaming me in front of everyone.
Right.
Yet He chose to love me. He still thought of me. He is a choice to hate. So I choose not to hate.
Yeah.
Because the Savior in my life chose to love me.
Yeah.
So I choose love. And I think that's when you start, it's okay to know that you are about to enter that place. What is not okay is allowing yourself to fall into that place.
Right.
Figure out a way. And I think that's when the Bible comes in. That's when we have to easily go back. Remind ourselves of Bible verses. Remind ourselves that although I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I shall fear no evil.
Yeah.
Because you are with me, O Lord. I think that's where my eyes are on to the Lord at all times. I think if we focus too much on what's happening in the world, it's easy for us to get lost.
Absolutely.
It's easier for us to get lost.
I love what you did, how you reflected your own pain to Christ. The Bible tells us that when we suffer, we are joining in the sufferings of Christ. That we are like him when we suffer. So for the black people that are going through this, especially if you're a Christian black man or a Christian black woman, this suffering that you're going through, is bringing a likeness of Christ.
Amen.
It brings this reflection of the reality of his sufferings, and it brings us closer to him.
Yeah.
So while we are Christians and going through this suffering, we can rejoice that our suffering brings glory.
Amen.
And I could only imagine the day that we are all in heaven and we see all of our black brothers and sisters and all the other races and colors in heaven, the joy we're going to feel.
Yeah.
Because racism will be no more.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we're talking about in heaven. I believe revival is about to stir up the Church of Christ,
Yeah.
and we're going to see it now.
Yeah.
I think, again, God has allowed it so that we can see true revival here on earth.
Yes.
And that's what God is doing. He's going to show us what the church
Heaven on
looks
earth.
like.
Amen.
Heaven on earth. And then the trump is going to sound, and we're going to be all together. But I believe we're going to be able to live that moment where we all worship together in the same building, holding hands with all of our black family, Hispanic, Asian, everyone all together worshiping the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He's allowing it for such a time.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Ramon, what do you believe that we can do as a community to eradicate racism and discrimination?
Wow.
That's a profound.
What can we do?
The politician.
I think acknowledging it, acknowledging that it exists. There's power in just knowing.
Yeah.
Also, check yourself. Check what biases and what things that you in your mind are biased towards. And I think we need to look at our policies. I know Haas mentioned policies. All in all, the bottom line is definitely a heart issue. For someone who doesn't have Christ in their heart, how can they? Because for us, it's just
We know it's Christ, right?
It's Christ, you know. For someone who doesn't have Christ in their heart, how can they be a part of the solution? Research, educate yourself, and see what you are doing. What are you doing that is perpetuating the problem, and stop it? You know. So I think that those are ways. I think right now when we talk about racism, the superior race is white people. You know, there's a privilege in this country towards white people, and I think having white people speak up on this more, because they are the ones in position of power, could help it. You know. And it kind of is like, it's kind of sad to say, it's like, yeah, we got to rely on the people in power, but we kind of do, you know, because racism racism adheres and it helps out white people more than anything.
Yeah.
So I think if white people speak up more, educate themselves more, I think we'll take a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I also believe that I think more than ever, pastors of every community should get closer to the leaders of the community. I think because we know the love of Christ, I think that because we are so connected to Christ-like mind, and we know that what's happening right now is not right in the eyes of God, I think we should bring that light to our community leaders, to our precincts, to the community, to the cops, and everyone that's in authority, and let them know, hey, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but I think we should have a conversation and let you know how my community, my church feels about this certain thing. And I think as a church, if we do that in every single community, I think we're going to build a bridge between authority and the community as a church.
For sure.
And I think that is going to help everyone. That's going to flow into even if you don't believe in Christ, even if you don't believe in God, it's going to just flow because now you're connected with one another. I also believe that it starts at the home. I think that racism is taught. I think if you don't start, if parents don't start from the moment the child is born, that is not okay, and this is what's okay, then they're just going to continue the trend. I believe the first few years of a child's life is the most important. I don't have kids, but he does. Yeah. And he might know that from what I have learned is that the first few years, I think it's the first 9 years, that's what develops the characters of the child.
First 5, man. The first 5 years.
So if we don't, as parents, if you guys don't take charge in this and be like, you know what, this is not okay,
right,
and this is what is okay, then we're gonna continue having the problem. It doesn't matter how much you talk about it. It doesn't matter what you say. If it's already here and it's already here, only God can do the finished work in their lives.
Yeah.
Amen?
I mean, I completely agree. One of the first things I did when I became pastor here at the church is reach out to our community leaders, the closest precinct to us, the fire department, the EMT. We invited them here for a lunch. And one of the first things they said to me was, Pastor, no one has ever offered us lunch.
Wow.
To come into the church to just give us free lunch. Maybe they bring lunch to them in the precinct, but no one has invited us over to their house to be served. Yeah. And thank you for this. And so all police officers and EMT of all color came in, and I mean, it was just amazing to see. Thank you to tell them, thank you for your services. We're here to serve you, and we're here for you. We didn't do it as a religious move. We did it because we love the work that they're doing, and we're together. We're united. Yeah. We're here to improve our community. We love people, and I believe that is contagious. Evil is contagious, to say the truth, but love and mercy is also contagious. Yeah. When you do something good, whether you're a believer or not, people love that. They're attracted to that, and we've got to have more of it.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. Pastor, as a father and a community leader, what advice or message would you give to protesters right now?
Yeah. You can protest. I believe it is important to say what is right. That is the way we express ourselves in this country. With protest, it's a figure of we're going to be heard for what's right. What's wrong is vandalism. Yeah. It has nothing to do with protesting. Like, protesting is necessary, is a way government pays attention, lawmakers pay attention. It's the voice of the people. Yeah. And we have to serve the people. Jesus came to serve the people. Our country, our world, every president, every governor, every mayor is for the people. So when the people speak, we have to be heard. Yeah. And I think it's important, believer, non-believer, that when we see something that's not right, that we protest. Yeah. We protest and we say, this is right, this is wrong. And it's important for us to do so, done correctly. Vandalism and this outrage and taking it out on our brothers and sisters, taking it out on our property, on our city, it's completely wrong. And I think we can voice our opinion without letting anger get the best of us.
Yeah. To finish it off, any final thoughts, guys?
I have a final thought. I think that my thought is that I believe that in terms of racism and stuff, I just challenge people to just look up things, be uncomfortable with yourself. Probably there's things within yourself that you're not even aware of. And I agree with Pastor. Listen, I think we're a group of people that do a lot of talking and not enough listening. Proverbs talks about listening and like how like that's a characteristic of someone who's wise, someone who listens, and be teachable. I think there's so much tension because we're lacking teachable spirits, and I think the more we go towards being teachable, being open to conversations in love, I think that's where victory comes.
Amen. Boss?
Man, there's hope.
Amen.
The church is rising. The church is talking about it more than ever. So there's hope. Let's keep praying. Our church is uniting right now in this month of prayer and fasting. I think all enemies of people have a spiritual aspect to them. And I think for too long, the spiritual aspect has been ignored. It's definitely a social issue, but there's a spirit behind it. Yeah. And I think that in these times where it's being so looked at. Let's look at it deeper. Let's look at it as something that it is a heart issue. And I think because it is a heart issue, there's a spiritual aspect that needs to be fought as well. Not just only pray, but also let our faith have hands and feet in these times. But let's fight the battles in the spirit realm. Let's pray about it. Let's fast about it. And I think when we get these two things, the protesters that are actively outside, with the banners out, I think that together with prayer and fasting, there's nothing we can't do.
Amen.
So,
Pastor, the floor is yours.
Yeah. We are living in a time where it's critical for our next generation. We're experiencing it today, but I believe that we're living in a critical moment to pass on something beautiful and powerful to the next generation, which is of peace, of equality, and justice. If we rise up children that understand the principles of God and morality and equality, I believe that we're going to see a great rise of the best country in the world we've seen ever. And so in these final thoughts, I believe that we as a church have to educate our churches, our people, our families, our friends, have conversations, how to be a better world from here on out. But we are in a perfect position because I believe in purpose. I don't believe in coincidences.
Amen.
I believe that God allowed it again so that we can focus on what is the heart of God.
Yeah.
And the heart of God is love all people, love those who are down, who are broken, and bring healing. So God heals the wounds of those who are brokenhearted. Mm-hmm. He heals those who are down and sick, and he heals them physically and spiritually. Right. But like Hoa said, this is also spiritual. We have to get laws passed for justice, and we also have to come together in prayer like never before. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to show the light of Jesus, that he died for us on the cross, and he made a way for us to have a relationship with him. Yeah. And I invite everyone to join in prayer, in intercession for our country, our city, the world, so that we voice our opinions correctly. We come to the throne of the Father and give it to him. Amen. God can do far greater than what we can with our own power and strength. If we give it to God, we will see the glory of God, but we cannot be quiet. Yeah. We have to proclaim the truth of Jesus. We have to proclaim why he came to earth. Amen. And we are his disciples, and we continue on the mission. Yeah. Let them know who I am. Yeah. And our God is a God of love, of justice, of peace, and reconciliation. And I believe we're going to see a greater world in the future time to come. Amen. In the name of Jesus.
Making him known. That theme has become alive more than ever.
Make him known more than ever. Make him known of who he truly is.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for taking this time, bringing this conversation that is needed in our community.
Thank you.
It is such a curious, is very important, and is very delicate in every sense of the word.
We were so nervous before this conversation.
Yeah. But God knows who he chooses. He knows who he gives the opportunity to do it. And we couldn't pass this opportunity to once again let them know that there is hope, that Christ is the only way, and that his love is what we're going to reflect to our community from here on out. Amen. Guys, thank you once again for tuning in, for taking this moment, having this conversation, to see this conversation with us. If you have not subscribed to our channel, SBC TV, do it today. And we'll see you next time. God bless.